Hi, this is Chef Dave Bishop, beefing up your dinner plate. Today we're going to be talking about an herb-crusted marinated flank steak. Sounds like a lot of words, but this is an awesome recipe. This is one you can do on your grill, your charcoal grill, gas grill, or even in your broiler. Let's take a look at our flank steak first, and we'll start marinating. Let's first take a look at our flank steak here. There's 2 flank steaks come off each cow. Makes it a little bit of an expensive piece of meat, but a delicious piece of meat. Different a lot of piece of meats on a cow, they got to cut it into sections. These are naturally pulled out, and they have a muscle grain that runs one direction. Kind of like your hand. You take your hand, it goes the same direction your hand. It's thick at the top, thin at the bottom. Thick here, thin here. Usually sliced from this direction. This can be used in fajitas. It can be grilled whole. A lot of times it's grilled whole and served as a fine dining meal. People go to the store and say, let me go get some London broil. London broil is the name of a dish, not a cut of meat. So this is a flank steak we make London broil out of. So that's a little confusing for a lot of people. Let's take a look at our marinade here and we'll get started. Our dry herbs we have here, so 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, half teaspoon of dry oregano leaves. We're going to take these and we're going to rub them together and make a blend. Coat the flank steak evenly, dividing this in half on one side, half on the other. Looks like you have half of it. I like to take it and rub it into the meat, pat it down so it's going to stay on that meat. Yes, we're going to be putting a wet marinade on here in a little bit, and it might pull some of it off, but that's going to penetrate in there and give a great flavor. Let's turn it over. I mentioned something real quick. You notice I got some fat on this side right here. There was a little bit on the other side also. You want that fat there. A lot of butchers will cut this off and trim all the fat off, and ups the price a little bit, but it's a nice presentation. You want that little bit of fat. As you grill, that fat is flavor. So most of that's going to be cooking off, and that's going to be giving some of your moisture and your flavor. So ask for it untrimmed if you can, if it's possible. Let's go ahead and finish our herbs. We got dry herbs on. Let's go ahead and look at our marinade. We got 1/4 cup of Italian dressing, 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, approximately a half cup of coarsely diced onions, 2 cloves diced coarsely, and 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar. You stir this up really well. Let's go ahead and take this flank steak, kind of fold it in half, stick it in the Ziploc right here. Steak in the bag. Now we're going to take our marinade, we're going to pour it over top. We'll seal it. A lot of times I like to take the air out of it completely. Now we're just going to turn it, make sure that marinade gets on the inside where we folded it and coats it really well. Now we want to marinate this at least 4 hours if we can, up to 24, no more than 24 if we can help it, because the meat will start breaking down. The muscle tissue won't be as good. It won't be as good a meal if you let it go much more than 24 hours. So we're going to refrigerate this for 4 hours, and then we're going to put this on the grill. Let's take a look at our flank steak real quick here. It's been marinating almost 24 hours. A nice deep color where that marinade's got into it. Let's go ahead and put it on a grill. This is 400 degrees. We're going to cut it down to about 350 in just a couple minutes. We're going to turn this a few times. We want to give about 5 or 6 minutes the first time, then turn it about 5 or 6 minutes. And then we want to cook about 15 to 18 minutes for a medium on the inside. It's firm right here, so we're looking at a medium right here. This is going to be more your well done, your medium on this end. Notice it did shrink a little bit. All your meat's going to shrink about 20 to 25%. Again, you don't see a bunch of fat hanging around it. Remember we talked about that yesterday? It's cooked into the meat. Looks beautiful. Let's go ahead and put it on a platter. What I like to do is put some foil across this, let it sit about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and cut it.
Explained earlier, before we marinated, the grain of this meat goes one direction, kind of like your hand does. All goes one direction. It's thick at this end, thin at this end. So what we want to do, use our tongs right here just for placement. We want to cut it against the grain on a slight angle called a bias. So we get nice beautiful cuts. Cut as thin as we can for presentation. Nice full cuts. When you cut them with this knife, get nice long strokes with it so you don't have a bunch of marks. I'm going to plate one plate for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go backwards. I'm going to get my last cuts first, lay them on the plate so we can kind of stack them as we go. Let's take a look at this beautiful plate the whole family's going to love. We took our flank steak, marinated it, cut it on a bias, real thin. It's going to be very tender. Put some natural au jus on it. And here we got some fresh tomatoes, some broccoli and potatoes. The second plate here, this is for a steak sandwich. A lot of times when I do a lot of large caterings or doing steak sandwiches with a London broil, is what I like to do is I like to take and cut it in half. It's just easy for me to cut. It's easier on the sandwiches. We're going to cut it real thin. So you got that nice little pink line in there. That's what we were looking for. Take a look at our sandwich real quick. A nice stack of thinly sliced, marinated herb flank steak. Delicious dish. This dish will make about 4. Let's move over here to the meat that we have left over. And we got some meat left over right here. This will make about 4 servings, this 1.5 pound steak. Now if you do have some left over, call me first. If I can't make it, when you chill this down and you're ready to reheat it, only heat it up until it's warm. Don't put it in the microwave for 3 minutes, but what you're going to have is going to have rubber meat. And you're really going to lose the quality of this piece of meat. So put it on a plate, a little bit of clear wrap, heat it to touch till it's hot, and then serve it right away so it's still nice and tender.
I was heading to the table and my cameraman reminded me I had to say goodbye. This is Chef Dave Bishop, beefing up your plate. You have a great day.